Welcome to the cafe. Today's just another bonus video for the best time of year. Well, you can see on the screen it's a little bit of a spoiler, but for my friend's Discord server, they had a PowerPoint competition, very similar to the ones you see online of people making PowerPoints to make each other laugh. And I did this in less than an hour, fueled mainly by my many years of academia, as well as my many years in a drama school, is mainly improv. And at the time, it made my friends laugh. And they wished that the people who couldn't make it to the event had a chance to experience it. But again, I was mainly whiffing with just my simple bullet point PowerPoint. So this might not be funny at all, but I thought I'd record it anyways just to give something to share with the friends that couldn't make it to the event and maybe make a few other random people on the internet laugh. I don't know. I had a bad childhood. Making people laugh is all I have, okay? Anyways, my PowerPoint on the theme of Halloween was straight Halloween, and why I think, in my humble queer opinion, we need to gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, etc., Halloween. Okay, so an overall quick summary. What Halloween stands for. As a member of the Alphabet Mafia, dressing up as someone else is often too much of our reality in the ways of we are not allowed to be ourselves. So we have to portray straightness, gender, play a part that we don't want anything to do with. So it's already, in a depressing way, part of a lot of, queer people's lives. But Halloween. For baby Bets, Halloween is the one time of year where people can explore without any consequence. Like, oh, this little boy is dressing up as a girl, and that's to be funny and not them expressing gender in a different way to just test it out. And it's just a comfortable and safe single day of the year that young little alphabets can try new clothes on and try new characters. While the culture around straight Halloween is a lot about eating and drinking to excess and so much binge. It relies a lot on unhealthy stereotypes, and it's just a couple. Have you seen couple costumes? Like the whole thing of these trying to sneak as many puns and sex jokes about their sexual dynamic into a costume as possible doesn't quite make any sense to me. And I feel like there needs to be a permission slip checked before people are allowed to wear those in public. And let's be honest, this entire PowerPoint is to make fun of those costumes. That is the basis, that is the root that started this tangent. Which is why I think, in my humble opinion, straights don't deserve Halloween. It's a sacred holiday, and they make it a mockery, if I do say so. Okay. The risk to morals. I feel like, as you see on the screen, the straight couple costumes ruin the sanctity of marriage, to be honest. They oversimplify their relationship into a weird insertion pun most of the time, or oh, look at me and my partner, we're so unhappy and trapped with each other. Isn't that such a funny thing? That's just that's them portraying the scariest thing in their life is their heteronormative gender rolled marriage. And it's just, why did you imagine having to explain to a child why there's just people walking down the street wearing stuff like this? Like, what about the children? What will this do to them? What kind of nightmares will this bring? And also, just anyone who's actually ever worn one of these costumes, do you take pictures and do you save these pictures? And if so, have you ever had to explain to your children such costumes? Like, hey, it's a sex joke, kids. Now I gotta explain what sex is. And also, that marriage is a burden. Ha 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 ha. And either way, straight Halloween is a risk to the integrity and sanctity of everything our society claims to hold dear. Further examples of questionable. Who thought of these? But another part of the straight Halloween couple costume is how very often one of the partners is always going to be objectified in a weird way. Often, mainly the feminine member of this straight couple, just completely dehumanizing them. Uh, Dehumanizing might be better than the animal things I'm seeing happening here, but very often, straight Halloween is just a way to further shrink women's place in the world and in their relationships and in their dynamics. So really, straight Halloween is a threat to feminism. It's just a step back once a year. There's every day of the year, let's be honest. But it's just a time when men can be like, here, be an object so I can make jokes with my friends. And it's a threat to just equality, let's be honest. It's a threat. That's what it is. Now, for the Alphabet Mafia example. For queer people, art is life, and therefore Halloween is holy. Queer folk return the sacredness to a holiday that struggles to keep its magic amidst rampant consumerism and capitalism. It becomes a day to celebrate yourself and your friends and your community and just purely express everything it means to exist in whatever wild colors and paints you want. Like, if you stand amidst a Halloween event in a safe space, you are experiencing something that feels life. It feels like life. Just a lasting moment of humanity that is actually worth savoring and is precious. Another point of Halloween's is Halloween films or horror films or just campy films in general. A lot of cult classic Halloween films are very often films that transgress cultural norms or portray versions of themes in film that are very often too overdone. And very often, Halloween style films will inspire a different angle that often can be read very queer in a lot of ways. Jennifer's Body. A lot of the most iconic characters are queer coded, let's be honest. Or made better by the alphabet audience's revivals and reinterpretations of them. So many villains are queer coded, obviously, so the fact that a lot of them in Halloween movies are also is no surprise. But just the way that a lot of the times there is empowerment in their transgressive values through Halloween films. And as a spoiler, here's just a few examples of my favorite examples of even further queering the narrative of very popular characters. So, the imagining of Morticia and Gomez as a T for T couple, I think, completely suits and fully fits with the original intent of making them a subversive modern family. Like, the original intent of them and making them a loving couple was to make fun of how straight married couples often were depicted and portrayed in media. And so, as you see by these lovely artists, hopefully the credits are correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. Apologies if I got your usernames wrong. But just how it further enhances these characters by just adding this other layer that you'll never see on screen, but just a queer audience can make so much more of a character by interpreting them through our lens. The next and very big point is the Gremlins and how I think they are overdone in a holiday that doesn't quite suit what it's become. So breeders, in their audacity to have their offspring, in their squadrons, in their troops walking around on our streets, just banging on doors and demanding we give them offerings lest our property be damaged and destroyed. Why do people's kids get to demand we give them treats? To the point that if anyone does not want to participate in this holiday, or cannot afford to participate in this factor of the holiday, has to keep all their lights and blinds closed and just hope no little gremlin and their sticky little fingers come tap tap tapping on our door, even though all the lights are off. Timothy, go somewhere else. There's literally a well decorated and well lit house 2 doors down. Why are you banging on a door of a house completely in darkness just because you can see a TV? And yet, when, queer people ask for something, simple things like being left alone, a few rights here and there, the straights get so mad. They're allowed to set their children loose on our neighborhoods, but we can't even exist in our neighborhoods. They don't want their kids to see us, but then they also want their kids to get to see what our living rooms look like once a year. All of our business, just whatever we're doing that day, they get to see it, I guess. They complain that pride is not family the passion of the subject. They complain that pride is not family friendly, yet rarely do I hear a peep about people who dress their young children as actual serial killers who have lifelong lasting effects on actual people in their communities. Now, this might be very specific to the time period in which I wrote this, but celebrating killers of POC and queer folk and then happily marching your little toddler up to our door dressed as these monsters and expecting us to be all right with it. It's the thing I really don't get. Another my favorite genre of the audacity of some breeders is before the kid's even born, like that shit's still cooking, and some woman comes knocking on the door like, "Hey, I'm pregnant. This my belly has like a pumpkin sticker on it. Give me candy." So you're a grown-ass adult who's about to have to afford an entire another life. You couldn't go buy your own candy. You had to come knock on our door without even a child to like parade for cuteness for like a 2 seconds. Like, why does a baby in a stroller who can't even make it up the steps to our door, why do we have to give them candy? Why are you knocking on our door as a grown-ass person with your fetus that can barely walk on its own and asking us for candy? Why are you doing that? Why? What is the thought process there? Like, the kid's not even getting exercise. It can't walk it. Why is this lump of flesh standing in front of me? Anyways, not perfect, but better. Queer culture makes room for everyone, unlike a lot of heteronormative structures that exist. Even when queer people are cringe, the mafia is on a whole nother level, because their cringe is so creative and innovating. Even when it's shocking, in a couple years' time it will have watered down into some weird normalized, stolen and put on like fashion runways type of things. Like, queer people have a creativity to be cringe and terrifying and beautiful and just miles and miles ahead at all times. And when you are in a space on Halloween and it's just a bunch of people dressed absolutely batshit sometimes, and that's the greatest part. It's just the idea that, hey, we're considered freaks without these costumes, without this makeup, without the gore. So let's be freaks together. And there's always a unifying factor. And Halloween is just the strongest dose you can get of it. Which is why, in my conclusion, the alphabet makes Halloween a celebration of life, its complexities, its differences, its beauty, while straights make it a mockery of life. And it also disrespects death because you can't even really appreciate life when you're not willing to appreciate all of it. And yes, that was my conclusion, and this is the PowerPoint. But if you thought it was funny, if you enjoyed, if you want to talk about why you like Halloween, no matter your experience, why you think it's good, why you think it's bad, let's talk about it. I mean, this was all purely for fun. And disclaimer, I was mainly referring to the straight white crowd because that is the environment that I feel I am safe in discussing. But yeah, the door is always open.